Yeah, I mean, you talked a lot about people who helped you on your journey and inspired you, which kind of leads me into my next question. That were there any institutes or people that impacted your experience throughout the journey that you have now?
Oh, oh yes. Oh, and I should. I mean, it didn't just stop at elementary school. I mean, I
Yeah.
really did discover. Oh, there is theater. We go to plays and we create plays, and I went on to a boarding school in Virginia called Chatham
Hmm.
Hall, and they did. We did, and it was an all girls school. We did amazing work. From
Hmm.
um, I was integrating that school with a friend, so there were the two black
Yeah.
students in it. So we went from. It's so neat to have had that cocoon of Eaton Johnson, and that
Hmm.
as I went on, and that actually integrated two schools. One was in our. My mother was a teacher,
Yeah.
and so the superintendent had asked, could Gloria integrate E.M. Rollins with another student? So two of us went there, and then later onto the high school was integrating. This was at the very beginning
Yeah.
that Henderson was happening,
Hmm.
but ended up getting a scholarship to a boarding school that was in Virginia. Amazing, wonderful school. And they had, it was a small school, 200 girls, but they had an amazing theater program. And I mean, we did all kinds of dramas uh, from the European canon. So I'm saying I'm so glad that I had a foundation to say, oh, there are other bigger, broader
Yeah.
stories. And then went on to Northwestern um, in as an acting student, as a cherub in high school for one summer, and then before I realized it snowed in Chicago, said, "Yeah, I'll go there for school."
Yeah.
And while I was there, I was an acting major, but while I
Hmm.
was there, I was introduced to creative drama. And Evanston, Northwestern, is the home of creative drama.
Hmm.
And uh, everyone said you need to take Anne Thurman when you're talking about a mentor. Anne Thurman was an amazing creative drama teacher. She was a force of nature.
Yeah.
And they said, you've got to take Anne Thurman while you're at Northwestern. And I said, well, I'm not going to teach. My mother was a teacher. I got aunts who teach. That's the last thing in the world that I will do. I will be digging
Yeah.
ditches before I teach. I respect teachers. I love teachers, but I ain't going to be one.
Yeah.
But they said, doesn't matter, Gloria. Take Anne Thurman. You will learn more about theater, about playwriting, about creating stories if you take Anne Thurman creative in any other class you're going to take here. And they
Yeah.
were right. She was an amazing teacher because we were teaching it, and she would take us out. We'd have to teach little mini classes, different, different places
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it was creative drama. But that whole thing of resonating with what I had grown up with as far as stories are for everyone, that you can create your own stories, you
Yeah.
know, that you can theater games like Spolin games, how to
Yeah. Yeah.
organize, it was just an amazing um, hands-on experience.
Hmm.
And even though I still wasn't planning to teach, it turned out that a lot of them really excellent classes at Northwestern at that time, they had an education department within the School of Speech, which is now the communication department. So you had theater, you had performance studies, and you had an education department within, even though there was a larger education department at Northwestern, it had
Yeah.
one tucked in. And I wish that was true. I wish that model still existed. It
Mhm.
was a liberal arts school. So you took, it wasn't a conservatory, the theater school. So you took, American history, you took poli sci, you had to take a math class, math and science. So in other words, which was good because theater has to be about something. You can't just be a
Yeah.
theater person. And
Yeah.
the creative, the creative drama classes were, again, within that education department. And then I discovered other classes that were in the education department that were really life-changing. I mean, just were excellent. And so I
Yeah.
ended up taking several. And when I had when I was about to graduate,
Mm-hmm.
I had senior year. I still had senior year. As I said, I was not planning to teach ever, 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 ever. My game plan was graduate. I was going to go to France and I don't know what, but I did not speak French, which was not a good plan.
Yeah.
Waitress in France. I don't know what I was going to, but it was not going to be teaching. But my
Yeah.
senior year, um, my counselor said, Gloria, you finished all your requirements. You still need to take at least 3 electives or 4 electives.
Mm-hmm.
Graduate so you have all your, but you can take anything you want. I suggest, because of what you have, you take student teaching and then you would be qualified to teach. And I looked at it and said, did you hear me come out of my mouth? I'm never going to be a teacher. I just enjoyed the classes. And she said, okay, good. But just think about it, Gloria. If you're teaching, you won't have to be in class at Northwestern for all of spring break, for all of
Mm-hmm.
spring term. And my little heart, and this was like 2 weeks before spring break, and I was trying to finish up stuff, and I hadn't chosen any classes. And that meant if I said yes to this, I wouldn't have to go get in the line to sign up for classes.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have to go for, for my, And I said, I wouldn't be at Northwestern classes. And so I said yes.
Mm-hmm.
It completely went over my head until I got home.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom asked me, so what will you be doing? I said, I'm teaching. And she said, okay, where are you teaching? I said, well, they're going to tell me, but at a school. And she said, do you realize you'll be in school and it wasn't until she said, I'd be in school from, like 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock every
Mm-hmm.
day that it hit me what I'd signed up for. But
Yeah.
sometimes life takes you where you don't plan to go, but where you need to go.
Yeah.
And I have said before, I would have missed my life if I had not become a teacher. Because I took, and I did all that other stuff
Yeah.
that you were talking about, starting a theater company,
Mm-hmm.
writing plays, raising a family, a wonderful daughter and husband. I did all of that while I was teaching for 30 plus years.
Wow.
So I would have, and what kept me centered was those students, because you can get all kinds of work, you can go all kinds of places, whatever, but children will keep you honest.
Yes, they will. Yes, they
In a
will.
minute. They don't care where
Will.
you came from or what they will in a minute keep you honest and keep
Yeah.
you enthused and keep you young and keep you involved, and keep you questioning and learning.
Yeah.
Because as you facilitate them, they are facilitating your life.
Yeah.
And so literally, I walked out of Northwestern and was waitressing and not planning to teach. But I was at my future husband's sister's wedding in New York. My cooperating teacher called me in New York and got the number, called me in New York and said, because she knew me, and she said, Gloria, I've arranged for you to interview at Chute Middle School with Mr. Pate and Miss. So when you come back, they've got it all set. This was like end of July, beginning of, they've got it all set up. They're expecting you. She never asked me, did I want to, but she said, I've already set this up. So just call and let them know, exactly what time that we're going to meet together. And I was too shy and too afraid to say, well, you know something? I wasn't really planning to teach. I just was kind of filling out this thing. So I took my little, and she had been wonderful. And I didn't want, and sometimes when somebody makes a way for you, so I didn't plan to say yes, but I did say I'll go to the appointment. And I went, and I was sitting between 2 amazing individuals.
Yeah.
He was one of the first Black principals in the Evanston School District.
Mm-hmm.
She, Mama Morton, we called her Mama Morton, with the 8th grade team leader, and an amazing teacher. Both of them from North Carolina, my home state. So I'm sitting between 2 North Carolinians, this little colored girl sitting between 2 icons. Later on, Mama Morton, Mrs. Morton, became the mayor of Evanston, and she was the longest after her teaching career. Nobody ever
Wow.
knew until she died. Nobody knew how, oh, because she looked good. Don't crack. She
Okay.
taught, she taught, became principal of Haven. So she had both sides of the Evanston, the north side and the south side of the Evanston,
Hmm.
everything in
Yeah.
between, because she taught at Chute, which was one side of the school. And in the, she was um, the principal at Haven later.
Yeah.
And so the community got together and said, you got to run for mayor, a group of people. And she did. And she was one of the longest serving mayors. My daughter grew up and didn't realize that there could be any other mayor. She only knew a Black woman mayor, Mrs. Morton, up until she got into high school.
Wow.
And she was like 16 years. She's amazing women. So I was sitting, think about it. I'm sitting between, do you think I'm going to say, no, thank you? I just said yes. And my teaching career started. And it was an amazing school. It had been originally built
Hmm.
for a Theater 65 program. And I wish there were more programs. Northwestern University and District 65 had a joint theater program.
Yeah.
Where the adults were played by Northwestern students, children, younger roles were played, and then they were all performed for all of the district. And I was at Northwestern the last year that program was there.
Hmm.
And they built the school with an amazing 600-seat auditorium with fly space and lights and sound and whatever. And then they stopped the program. Beware of cutbacks in a district.
Yeah.
And so they stopped the program. But then I ended up inheriting this amazing theater space to teach, So went on and taught at Chute Middle School, and I was at the same school with amazing individuals for decades who were very supportive of the arts and theater. And for me, actively worked to engage other theaters, other classrooms, other teachers into the program. So it became very much like what I was raised with. We are community creating theater, not just theater off to the side.
Yeah.
So at one point it came to be very much creative drama and developing, and of course, as a playwright, I was playwright in residence. If the students needed a particular play, we would just make it, either devise it, or I would write it, or I would adapt a book. And so, no, I won't name the books because I used educational license at that point. Now, I definitely, because there was educational license, but we'd have amazing licenses. And so the creative drama that was infused in me and taught through, it was also Piven Theater Workshop, which was very much, took classes after graduating to learn to expand the skills, and also go into conferences. I mean, like AAT, American Association of Theater Educators, Theater for Young Audiences, TYA USA, going to conferences and learning more and gathering more knowledge. So there was a lot, as I said, there were mentors at NU that taught me what creative drama was, and then other individuals that continued to further my education and mentor me in creating. So if that was what you're talking about, the journey, the takeaway is, y'all, get the skills and do teach. Good teachers are needed, and whether you teach creative drama or whether you teach other subjects, creative drama is a wonderful way to lead students into other subjects like science and math and history, and so hopefully in people's education, and not just children, but you can teach adults, you can teach seniors, you can teach, you can use creative drama in business.
Yeah,